This is the Big O Show. This is the Big O Show.
All right. There he is, the man, the myth, the legend. Good morning, sir. How are you?
First of all, just be thankful you are where you are, because it's a wind chill of 34. I dealt with the snow and the slush already in Toronto, and I can see why everyone from up here goes down there during the winter. Like, holy crap. It's like I already texted my wife. I've ruined a pair of shoes in the slush. Order me another pair online. It is a different lifestyle come winter up here. So be thankful. Be very thankful. And that's why if you're in the market for an Acura, don't buy one up here in the Northeast. Go to a beautiful, warm location. You can walk the lot in the beautiful South Florida heat. Acura Pembroke Pines. Not that I do commercials.
No, you don't. But that was a good one right there. No snow, no slush, all sun right here at Acura Pembroke Pines. I love it. You're going to get a bright deal. So come on down. Take advantage. All right. The Miami Heat. First, yeah, I know it's rough. I mean, listen, the other night they were also without Bam too, which, it's just they're not that good.
Yes.
To be missing
no
Bam.
margin for error. You're exactly right, Big O. This team has zero margin of error. If Jimmy is out, if Bam is out, and sometimes even if Tyler is out, it's a very thin construct. It goes to what you've spoken about in our Acura Pembroke Pines reports for weeks about the luxury tax, about the hard cap, about trying to play it both ways. I'm not sure in today's NBA economy, sports economy, you can try to be prudent and also be successful. The Heat really are caught in the middle.
Yeah, no, they were, I think they made a couple of mistakes here in how they constructed this roster. How are they health-wise for tonight's game against the Wizards? Because I look at the line and Vegas has got them favored. So I'm thinking, does Vegas know something that we don't? That Bam and Tyler out again, or what?
Tyler is out again. Didn't travel on the trip. Going to be at shoot around in about an hour. Maybe I'll see him as a last-minute addition. I don't think so. I think that line is based on the fact that Bam Adebayo hates to miss games. And if he can do anything to get himself on the court, he will. And I also think it was really hard for him to watch that game in Toronto when they were out-rebounded by 19, outscored by 20 on second-chance points, all the thing he does. And again, he is such a dynamic defensive player that he changes everything. Dwayne Dedmon can barely move. He has that plantar fasciitis in his left foot. He never was the most mobile big man anyway. Then you have Omer Yurtseven, of course, who's out for at least 3 months, maybe the season. I love Nikola Jovic. And you know what, Big O? If this was a Heat rebuilding and development season, I would be all on board with all your listeners who would say, play Jovic more, get him out there. But you also have Kyle at 36, Jimmy at 33, trying to win now. Yeah. This team needs Bam. There's no plan B for this team. There's probably a better plan B without Kyle, a better plan B without Tyler, maybe even a better plan B without Jimmy Butler. But Lord knows, Jimmy Butler was a no-show in Toronto on Wednesday night as well.
Ira, I think I read, was it yesterday, the day before? Was it on the Stein line that apparently the Suns are getting closer to moving Jay Crowder? The Heat was mentioned as one of the teams that are interested in him, obviously. What do you know about this? Because Lord knows they need some kind of power help there. They've got, getting out-rebounded like they were the other night, and the offensive boards. What was it the other night? The offensive boards were 16-4, man.
Yeah, and that was the 20-point difference in second-chance points. But again, Big O, let's not overstate who Jay Crowder is. He's a 6'7" power forward.
They need anything. They need anything right now. Ira, the reason I ask is because I'm also realistic. I realize that the Heat don't really have a lot of options.
No,
they don't have a lot of capital to trade. They certainly don't have the capital to even go get a superstar at this point in time, the way they're tied down. But they do have at least some capital to get something to help you out to better your season. So that's the only reason why I ask. I know Jay Crowder is not the end-all be-all to all their needs, but he will help at least.
Okay, and here's the deal, Big O, one that's going around. And again, certainly your listeners can chime in on your chat board there after they slam the like button. It's Duncan Robinson and a Heat protected first-round pick to San Antonio, Josh Richardson to the Suns, Jay Crowder and Torrey Craig to the Heat. So here's the deal. This is what you and I have spoken about in our Acura Pembroke Pines reports, on our weekly RaidRecover.com Inside the Paint with Kurt Heel, and on Wednesdays is this. Are you desperate enough in this season to give up a future first-round pick for Jay Crowder? And the reason I bring this up, Big O, is not necessarily the value of that pick. Then you have no picks to package if a whale comes through, if something bigger is available. So you're basically sort of, cutting off your nose to spite your face just to win in the moment. It's really tenuous. Let's face it. You have a general manager, a team president in his late 70s in Pat Riley. You have, as I mentioned, Kyle Lowry, 36, Jimmy Butler, 33. Do you protect this window? Or, and I'm on the Acura Pembroke Pines report with the Big O in 2026, you go to me, Ira, what the hell were they thinking? Jay Crowder spent 5 months there. He left immediately for a bigger free agent contract. We burn this pick right now, a kid who's in elementary school right now, instead, and do you take the risk? It's as a matter of fact, Big O, you've done this for so many decades. The worst way for a general manager to operate is out of desperation. Yeah. When you operate out of desperation, you look back on all the deals you made that you shouldn't have because in the moment you weren't thinking lucidly about the bigger picture. I like Jay Crowder. If he gets a buyout, I'm the first one online to bring him to the beach, to get him a pair of flip-flops, to welcome him home. But I'm not sure I would go farther than that. The thing is, with this roster, they were counting heavily on Omer Yurtseven. In the Bahamas, Bam and Omer played a ton of time together in scrimmages. Eric Spoelstra experimented. Omer Yurtseven started the first preseason game with Bam Adebayo against Minnesota. Then he got hurt. Now the surgery, at least 3 months, it changes everything. Look, injuries are a bitch. The good teams find a way. Right now, I would say this. Every Heat player has to be like at an 8 out of 10 across the board for them to win. Like you said, the margin of error is scant.
Ooh, and it was the Bahamas? Can we blame Sam Bankman-Fried also for this?
Well, you know what? It's thankfully, I know those two didn't have investments. I know others did with this team. And what's interesting, instead of the athletes suing Sam trying to get their money back, fans are suing the athletes saying, you promoted Steph Curry, Tom Brady, some teams, you promoted this to us. You screwed it out of it. You lied. But you know what? That's like saying...
You do your own homework.
Yes,
That's your own...
Right.
And you know what? Listen, Ira, before FTX crashed, I told everybody on this platform, get your money out of FTX. Before Voyager crashed, I told everybody on this platform, I had money on Voyager. Get your money out of Voyager. I've been telling everybody for the last couple of months now, get your crypto out of the exchanges, put them in a cold storage wallet. So, you know what I mean? It's up to you to do your own homework.
Your due diligence.
It's not that Tom Brady says, hey, I'm getting into crypto. You in? I mean, if is that what it takes you to get in without doing any of your own homework, then screw you, dude.
Right.
You lost your money on your own. You're an idiot.
Do you think these athletes are eating these burgers? Do you think Michael Jordan and Magic Johnson, Larry Bird, Reed and McDonald
driving a Buick? Right.
Yeah, or a Kia. Yeah. No offense. We love Kia also, but I'm just saying it's not Acura. But
you and I will drive a Kia, but Shaq ain't driving no Acura.
I prefer to drive an Acura, but that's another story. But what I'm saying is if you're going to sue an athlete because of what he's doing, because of what he's saying, then it's really on you. You know what? Crypto and Miami Heat fandom are caveat emptor. You know what you're getting into.
Right. Yes, exactly. The problem is there's nothing wrong with crypto. It's just like an investment firm or a bank that does dirty work and they screw everybody. It's the same thing. That's what's going on. And that's where you have to decipher the two. But anyway, getting back to that Jay Crowder thing, and you brought up an interesting scenario, whether you go for it or you don't. But here's my problem, because here's what I'm thinking.
Okay.
Look, in the end, I wasn't a big fan of these older contracts. You know that. But now that you've dove into this whole thing with Lowry and with Butler, if you don't make any moves, you're basically saying, we did what we could with you guys, we're done. And now you've got to deal with the bitterness of Butler because you're not improving the team. And Lowry's got to know that his days are numbered, because at the end of this season, next year, his contract becomes an expiring contract, which then all of a sudden becomes all kinds of sexy to the NBA, because people say, oh, that's an expiring deal. Yeah, we'll give you this guy that's got 3 years left and he's a good player or whatever. So now you've got some value along with your first rounders that you talked about. So then all of a sudden things can change for Miami next year if you're going to go in that direction. But if you're going to go in that direction, then you have told your fan base and you've told these older players, hey, we built what we got. You guys got to make the best of it. And you and I know right now the way that roster is constructed, that doesn't look like you're going to make a deep run.
No, and your first point I think is the larger point. If Jimmy and Kyle see it crashing around them, they're motivated. Look, we know when Jimmy's not happy what Jimmy looks like. We saw it with Fred Hoiberg in Chicago. We saw it in that practice in Minnesota. To a degree, we saw it in Philadelphia also. That can be ugly. Kyle, I'm wondering right now if Kyle made the cash grab and cashed out. Zach Lowe on ESPN basically put down their Heat's hopes based on all of this in his great 10 things he does on Friday, when he said, if Kyle can't recapture Kyle, it's almost a house of cards. That Kyle wants to do more, but Kyle's 36. Oh, you did more in your 20s and your 30s. I mean, we all get older and life changes and things change. Me waking up for the Acura Pembroke Pines report becomes difficult at times. I think Kyle might be at the point where he knows what to do. He knows what he wants to do, but the body's not willing anymore. And like you warned us, when you signed a guy at 35 for a 3-year, $85 million deal that takes him through his 38th birthday, you are running all the inherent risks. A guy like LeBron James ages beautifully. Tom Brady ages beautifully. Some other guys, not so much. I'm wondering if Kyle, who never had the Adonis body in the first place, it makes it even harder for him, just like you remember with Pat Riley and Tim Hardaway saying, hey, that body, when you get older, is going to break down. You're going to have a weight clause in your contract. You're weighing in every week. It wasn't punitive. It was to maximize. With Kyle, hell, it's a players' league now. That's just not happening.
Yeah, actually, Riley did two things to Hardaway, as you know. The one was the weight clause to keep it in shape, and then the other one was the responsibility on the court with the turnover to assist ratio. Remember, he would come into the locker room, give me a box score, give me a box score. He had to make sure, was it 2-1 or 2.5 to 1?
It was 3-1. It was brutal.
3-1.
You know what? And I hated that for this reason. I hate that a guy might not have made a pass that could have led to a basket because there was a risk there. I think that he'd learned from that as well. But again, that was Pat Riley's accountability. And I don't want to sound like old man and get off my lawn.
Hardaway came with a little baggage, and so
he did. He wasn't starting at Golden State. Rick Adelman had benched him. But without sounding like an old man and get off my lawn, the times have changed. You just can't do that anymore. No. These are different times. You know what? If Pat Riley tried to put that in a contract, a player would bolt. If Pat Riley tells Kyle Lowry you can't take your golf clubs to the West Coast, Kyle Lowry wouldn't be as happy. If he tells Jimmy Butler you can't have your own place when you're on the road instead of staying with the team, it's a different time. That's what makes Eric Spoelstra more of the modern coach. You have to adjust to those times, just like Steve Kerr does with Steph Curry. Steph Curry doesn't stay at the team hotel. He knows there's too many fans, too many autographs. He meets his team at the gym. It's a different time. It's a different era.
Now, let me ask you something. In a quiet moment between Pat Riley and Jimmy Butler, and Jimmy says, yo, but come on, man, you guys can't do more. And it says, well, hey, man, you wanted Lowry, right? So, you cash-strapped us with this. We have limitations. Your best friend did not come through for us last year. And right now we're cash-strapped with this, So in a way, I don't know how mad Butler can get when he's kind of put himself in the situation by bringing and
greatness still carries
ready to be a Batman or a Robin, by the way.
Greatness carries responsibility. When the Miami Heat decided to let Mike Miller go because his limbs literally were falling off, LeBron James was very upset. If you remember, LeBron James brought Mike Miller in. The Heat had to trade Michael Beasley to Minnesota, create the space, bring Mike Miller in. But LeBron James still played great that season. They got to the NBA Finals. They lost in the Finals because the air conditioning shut off, but they still got there. They had the season. They won the Eastern Conference. They were conference champions. I think Jimmy would be the same way. But Big O, what I look at is what happened this week on Monday. Against the Phoenix Suns, Jimmy Butler could not have done an ounce more. He did everything for this team. He was all over the place. He made an unbelievable defensive stand at the end, and they won by 1 point. They barely won. And I think it's dawning on Jimmy Butler. I can't do that every night. I can't be that guy every moment. And I think you saw the toll of that on Wednesday in Toronto when he was barely there. Well, if Jimmy Butler's not going to be there a third of the time, and Kyle Lowry's not going to be there half the time, then maybe this whole fear of the play-in thing is not that far off because there were too many all-the-time teams in the East. Milwaukee's an all-the-time team. Boston's an all-the-time team. Cleveland is trying to become, through learning pains and growing pains, an all-the-time team. If the Heat wait too long, when Harden gets back with the Sixers, and if Joel Embiid keeps playing this way, all of a sudden I'm talking to you from the road in the first round of the playoffs, or maybe even from the scene of a play-in game. Not out of the question.
All right, one more thing before I let you go.
Sure.
When the Lowry thing, you're in the locker room a hell of a lot more and in practice, and you get to see him more. You just talked about the modern player and how you got to treat him and all that. Did he take the Riley comments in the offseason the right way, or do you think that created a little bit more of a divide? Because when I look at Lowry, and I look at his everyday actions and on the court and the way he's handling things, I see a very business-like approach in a way, and I'm not talking about an intensity, an emotional intensity where you're into it, you're getting, I watch Tyreek Hill, okay? That's a free agent. He comes in, he's jacking guys up. He's happy other people are having success. He's part of stirring it up for others.
Ping pong table in, ping pong table out. Sure.
Yeah, I don't see that from Lowry.
You're correct.
Okay.
You're correct. And I think there are different points in their career. I think Kyle Lowry already has a championship. Kyle Lowry has he knows he's not getting another big contract. He knows he's not playing for his next deal. This is it. This is the last big deal of his career. So he's already secured that. He was motivated in the offseason, not by Pat Riley, by himself. He knew he had to be better. He hated being injured during the playoffs. He wanted to be out there. That might have been his shot. One Jimmy Butler three-pointer from making the NBA Finals again. That hurt him. He knew that. But he's never bought into Heat culture fully. Yeah. He's never drank the Kool-Aid. He's never going to be like Udonis Haslem. Sometimes, as you know, free agents come in as independent contractors. It's like the old thing when Kyle Lowry, if he goes to the Basketball Hall of Fame, they don't go in certain uniforms. We always ask baseball players, whose hat you going to have on your plaque there? Kyle Lowry's a Toronto Raptor, now and forever. This is just a stop. I wrote a column this week about that. How very few players have been able to find success after a lengthy career in one place. Peyton Manning found it. We spoke about this with Kurt Heelan when he went to Denver and won Super Bowl. Tom Brady found it.
He kind of got carried in that Super Bowl, by the way.
I know. But I'm still saying he got him there. He helped get him there.
He was fantastic leading up to that season is when his body finally broke down.
Tom Brady did it when he went to Tampa. We've seen Wayne Gretzky leave Edmonton, his once and forever home, to win in LA, to win in New York. Mark Messier in New York. Wade Boggs leave Boston and then wins a world championship with the Yankees. So it can happen. But I think Kyle is so defined by Toronto that nothing in this Miami Heat legacy can soil that anyway. He will always be an honorary citizen of Canada. He will go into the Hall of Fame surrounded by Toronto Raptors teammates. And that's what he is. You know what? He is, I hate to use this term, I don't mean it coldly, he's a mercenary. He arrived as a mercenary. You felt Goran Dragic wasn't good enough. Maybe in retrospect, we should think about that. You felt Goran wasn't good enough. You felt you haven't had a true
Goran played with intensity. You know, Goran was...
he still does in Chicago. You felt you hadn't had a true point guard since Tim Hardaway. We're going to bring you in. Eric Spoelstra calls him QB1. But he's a mercenary. He's not of the Heat. He's just part of the Heat.
All right, what do you got going on in the Sun Sentinel so Heat fans can check you out?
Well, it's interesting. The story I just posted at sunsentinel.com is Kyle Lowry. He's still saying give us time. We're still finding a way. We're still learning ourselves all as the clock keeps ticking. You know what? A lot of coaches say it. Monty Williams said it when he came in this week. At about 20 games, you know who you are. The Heat are 15 games in, a game under 500. They got a tough schedule coming up. They have Washington tomorrow. They have Cleveland going into Cleveland. Then next week, they have 2 games after they play Washington. They're going to Boston. So they've got to find a way to round it up. So I've got that. And I've got a very interesting column in Sunday Sun Sentinel about a player who 3 years ago was at Broward College, which doesn't even have a basketball program anymore, and now is playing for the Heat's G League team in Sioux Falls, maybe an injury away from making it to the NBA. So check out the Sun Sentinel on Sunday for that.
There you go. Ira, as always, thank you, my friend. Be safe. Save those shoes because that's the only pair you got left. Yep. Follow him on Twitter at Ira Heatbeat and catch his work at the Sun Sentinel. Thank you, Ira.
And I guess if the snow is yellow, I should avoid it. Thank you, Big O.
Yes. There you go, Ira. That's our Acura Pembroke Pines Miami Heat report.